Hello, welcome, YouTube. It is I, your Lord and Master of the here today with another video. Now, I have heard about some interesting news about what is it called? South African funding from being cut off. Okay, South African funding being cut off. And while legacy media is actually out there goofing it up and possibly ending up spreading out misinformation, I decided to do a little bit of digging around. And as it turns out, there is a South African channel. Yeah, there's actually a South African news network that just posted a video about what the heck is going on. So, rather than listening to the garbage that the United States legacy media is putting out, why not actually listen to the horse's head that's actually involved in the debacle that the United States is actually doing? So, without further ado, let's get right into the news.
US President Donald Trump has officially signed an executive order freezing financial aid to South Africa. Now, the decision follows his earlier warnings and comes in response to South Africa's new land reform laws, as well as its case at the International Court of Justice, accusing Israel of genocide. Now, this marks a significant escalation in tensions between Washington and Pretoria, with the US alleging human rights violations, claims the South African government has strongly denied. Well, to further unpack this, let's now welcome political analyst Dr. Ongama Mtika. Doctor, good to...
Doctor who? Dr. Hugo? Look, I'm not... Look, I am a Texan that's, has got Latino blood in it, okay? So excuse me if some of the names make me chuckle, okay? It's not that I'm being that type of person. It's just the fact that it's unusual for me to hear those names.
Good to have you with us as always. Thank you so much for your time. So what is your view of this whole situation as well as developments against South Africa by the United States?
On one level, we must see the action of the US against South Africa in line with the Trump administration's global reset agenda, which they have done. They have pulled out money from multilateral institutions. They are threatening the rules-based international order. So this is part of that. The expropriation, the passing of the expropriation bill or signing into an act, and the response of lobby groups that had been in contact with Trump have actually made us as the country to have something which Trump needed in order to advance what otherwise has got nothing to do with South Africa or its people. But
you heard that right. You heard that right. Trump is actually making freaking excuses. The whole thing about South Africa and the land grab is just a ruse in order to cover up a bigger thing. That's all it is.
The agenda of a global reset that he's taking. When it comes to the case at the International Court of Justice, people mistake the general politics of the ANC with the what we've come to be used to in South Africa, that we are able to take to settle political scores in courts of law. And what that does is it's part of the political process. So if the ANC perceived that they wouldn't gain significant traction directly engaging with Israel, and they took a court to a international criminal court, in South Africa, that's the ordinary course of conducting politics. It's not something which is not unrelated. So the chance that they are given is to go prove themselves on allegations that are specific. Contrary to that approach, by the way, Donald Trump, what he's doing is trying to use innuendo unfounded claims as well as lies.
I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to understand his heavy accent. So excuse me if I'm not like doing commentary. I'm just trying to understand him a little bit. So hold on a second. Let me back it up a little bit.
Interaction directly engaging with Israel, and they took a court to a criminal in international criminal court in South Africa. That's the ordinary course of conducting politics. Mm-hmm. It's not something. It's not something which is not unrelated. So the chance that they are given is to go prove themselves on allegations that are specific. Contrary to that approach, by the way, Donald Trump, what he's doing is trying to use innuendo, unfounded claims, as well as lies to take political action. South Africa, on the other hand, has brought a legitimate case before that institution, and that case can only be judged on the basis of the facts before the judge is there. The problem, lastly, on this issue with the US is that they've so politicized the judiciary there that they think it's part of conducting politics in an unfair way when things are being presented, in international judicial platforms. Mm-hmm. That's why, for example.
So basically, he's the way I'm understanding it is that Donald Trump is trying to get a government that is a yes man to him in order to politically take over the entire freaking planet that doesn't agree with him. So essentially what I'm getting at is that he's overstepping his boundaries of authority that is given him by the rules of the Constitution in order to essentially make everybody's life a living hell so that they would bow down to him, essentially. Yeah, it's like it's like Russia and China went buddy buddy, even though like Russia and China is like not really seeing eye to eye at the moment. It's like it's like China or like Russia partners up with the United States in order to take over the world, essentially. So the U.S. is like the political thing, while the Chinese or like the Russians are like the military backup. In order to force the entire world. I know. This seems like a very tinfoil hat kind of theory. So don't take it seriously. But that's kind of generally what all the countries are thinking at the moment.
Example, they will not feel any embarrassment.
If my logic is, if I'm understanding this correctly.
At all sanctioning judges of the International Criminal Court. I mean, if an African government did that, there would be an international storm.
Absolutely, Doctor. So, I mean, does South Africa really need to continue carrying a begging bowl, so to speak, to some that perceive themselves as the rightful owners and custodians of human rights? Is it not a wake-up call, really, Doctor, for us to build better, mutually beneficial relationships outside of the US? We are a member of BRICS. And I suppose one of the other issues that was highlighted in this
Wait, hold on. So they what? So it won't bother them. What? So the United States pulling out won't actually do anything. Yo, what the heck is going on? What?
executive order was our continued relationship with Russia.
Yeah, so the U.S.
Okay, hold on a second.
Russia order mutually beneficial relationships outside of the US. We are a member of BRICS. And I suppose one of the other issues that was highlighted in this executive order was our continued relationship with Russia.
South Africa in cahoots with Russia? What? 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 Wait, well, hold. Is that true?
Yeah, so the U.S.'s generosity throughout the world is appreciated. Sources of funding are always appreciated. So we cannot approach the threat to withdraw funding with an arrogant response. Yeah, however, though, the underlying principle in what you're saying is that as a country that is rich in mineral resources, that has got untapped potential in tourism and other key economic sectors, we should not be a country that has to depend on others to fund some critical programs.
Exactly.
I know that the minister has said that it's the scale of it is such that we can be able to continue, but the budgetary constraints on our fiscus there will be greater challenges because we've got student funding, we've got healthcare, a crumbling infrastructure to fund. So it's always appreciated. But what we would need is more leadership that is effective in order to raise money and make sure our economy grows than just an arrogant response. You go with your aid, we'll be fine. We won't be.
So that statement that Donald Trump had put out, saying that there's a lot of problems with land grabbing in South Africa. It's not true. It's not true. There is no land grab in South Africa. What?
Be fine. We will only be fine if our leaders prioritize doing the right thing so that we get.
So basically everything that what is it? Donald Trump doing his little huff and puff about, like, oh yeah, we're the big dogs. We're pulling this out. We're taking a stance. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. The South Africans can take care of themselves. Like, what's Trump doing? Like, why is he? Oh my God.
Those sources of funding for the fiscus.
But then is this not somehow being dictated to upon our internal policies then, Doctor?
Yeah. So the U.S. has become, synonymous with coercive diplomacy. This is something they did throughout the Cold War. This is something that even economic project finance, mega project finance was used for, and John Perkins called it the economic hitman, tendency.
It's been used as a tool.
And in fact, I beg your pardon?
I'm saying it's been used as a tool against us, Doctor, so to speak.
It's used as a tool. So strange enough, the work of Donald Trump is actually showing that even aid itself, by the way, is not neutral in terms of its use as a tool from a security, U.S. security, national security imperatives, or in fact toppling foreign governments. But South Africa should not sell its soul by taking money as a carrot to take policy which otherwise makes sense domestically. And quite frankly, there is nothing about this act that suggests what the lobby groups are saying, that it has created an instrument or has availed an instrument in the hands of the South African government to expropriate huge amounts of land without compensation.
Oh, wow. So, that statement that he put out about South Africa was a complete lie. Yo, that is crazy. Well, you heard it here, folks. Uh, so how many lies is that for Donald Trump so far? I have lost count. Whoa. Like, it's been reported that Donald Trump said what, like 70,000 different lies or something like that? This is like what? Lie number 80,000? Okay. So, you guys heard it from the horse's mouth. South Africa. Donald Trump is making shit up. Woo! So I decided to go to, what's it called, npr.org to look further into the situation. So Trump's social media posts and comments were referring to a land expropriation law South Africa passed in January that aims to address the legacy of colonialism and apartheid. While Trump didn't specify which classes of people were being ill-treated in South Africa, he was widely understood to have been talking about the country's white minority. The law has been controversial in South Africa because it allows land expropriation with no compensation in some rare circumstances, including if land is not being used in what the Act calls a productive manner. Okay. However, the law does not allow for land to be seized arbitrarily, and there has to be an agreement with the owner. Any land expropriations would still also have to go through South Africa's independent courts. So, yeah, like I said before, what's the point in pulling out the aid? Like, what? Yeah, what was up with that statement that he pulled up with? Like, huh? Yeah, that makes absolutely no sense. The statement that he pulled out. Ramaphosa issued a statement denying Trump's accusations. South Africa is a constitutional democracy that is deeply rooted in the rule of law, justice, and equality. The South African government has not confiscated any land. He also pointed out that Trump's threat about cutting funding has little relevance, saying, with the exception of PEPFAR aid, which constitutes 7% of South Africa's HIV and AIDS program, there is no funding that is received by South Africa from the United States. And with Trump's recent freeze on almost all foreign aid, it's no longer clear if PEPFAR, the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief, is likely to survive anyway. So, okay. Okay, that's just, what? So, yeah, basically, South Africa says, you're stupid. This is all pointless. What are you waffling on about? Oh my god. Subscribe for more drama to Trump and his eternal greatness of the United States rule of thumb, I guess. I don't know. I'm waffling.